Wherever I'm at on tour, whether it's overseas or in this country, I'm having dinner at a nice restaurant, or I'm at an airport getting on a jet going someplace, you golfers continually ask me, Lee, where can we get a cassette with your golf tips? You people are always after me. And I love it, but I've always said that my fans and followers deserve the very best I can give them. So what I've done is selected what I think is the best of my golf tips, the ones that have been on the TV network the last couple of years. We've edited them down to where the information is simple and right to the point. But I don't want to bore you with the basics and fundamentals. The ABCs you can get out of a book or some other guy's cassette. We wanted to be entertaining, interesting, and most of all, informative. We wanted you to enjoy these tips so you could better your golf game. The more times you run this cassette, the better chance you have of overcoming your problems. So all you have to do is put it in your VCR, and you've got old Lee as your personal pro right in your living room. I'm gonna run off about a dozen bunker shots, and then we'll visit again in a moment, okay? It doesn't make any difference where you play. Eventually, you're gonna run into hard bunkers. Well, the good news is the ball is not gonna bury. The bad news, that it's gonna roll down to the lowest part of that bunker, and that's where the hard sand is. Well, if you're having trouble with this shot, chances are that you've got the ball too far forward. The blade's hitting behind the ball, and... Does that look familiar to you? You're blading the ball. The shot's not really that difficult. What you have to do is play the ball back, almost off your right heel. So move forward on it. The reason for this is because now the club will go in an up and down motion. Open up the blade just a little bit and play it back off the right heel and hit down behind it. Create your own sand. Put it about an inch behind the ball and hit down on it.
That ball came out a lot better than I thought it would.
The good news, the ball's not gonna vary. The bad news, it's a tough shot. Play it back, hit down on it, and it'll be a piece of cake for you. I hate golf courses with deep bunkers. Eventually, you're gonna run into golf courses with lies like that in the bunker, an uphill lie. They should issue a ladder. Well, if you're having trouble getting out of here, chances are that you've got too much weight on the right side. What happens when you put all the weight on the right side, your shoulders are actually on the same line as the bunker going uphill. Now what happens is you stay too far behind the ball, hit too far behind it, and it stays right in the bunker. And what you have to do here is get all the weight over on the left side. Reason for this is you can see how it levels the shoulders out with the green. Reason for that is simply that it keeps the sand on the club face a little bit longer. Don't hit up on this ball. Keep the club in the sand all the way through. Ooh, that's a good shot. Don't forget, if you're having trouble getting out of here, chances are you're too far on the right. Get that weight on the left side and tell the pro you're not gonna need that ladder today. It doesn't make any difference where you play. You're gonna run into bunkers, and you're gonna run into lies like this. What do you do with this lie? It's on an uphill, your feet are outside the bunker. Well, let me show you what you have to do here. First of all, you have to bend down. You've got to reach the ball right down from the knees. Second, you make sure that the club is closed, not open when you get in there. It has to be closed. Third, which is more important, is that you make sure that your knees do not move in the swing. You pick the club up and you hit it without moving the lower portion of the body. Now, remember what I just told you? First, you bend down. Second, you make sure that the club is hooded. Third, don't move your body. Whew, I hate this shot. Uphill lie, ball being way up above your feet. You're having trouble coming out of this bunker, advancing this ball up to the flag. Chances are that you've got the club too open. What happens is that the toe of the club is coming in contact with the sand first. Does that look familiar to you? I'm going to show you the correct way of doing it. Now, the correct way of doing this is playing the ball back into your stance, moving it almost off the right heel. This actually closes the club face. You will see that the club face is actually square with the target. Here, Don't forget, if you've got an uphill lie with the ball almost in your knees, don't open the blade of that club. Play it back and close it. With a little practice, you may hold all of them. You know, when you hit a ball out of the fairway, you know you're in the bunker. Then you get the surprise of your life when you walk up there and you look down at a golf ball that's buried. And all of a sudden you panic because you really don't know what you're going to do with this thing. It's not that difficult. If you've had trouble leaving the ball in the bunker, chances are that you've tried it the old way, which we call the old way that you were always taught to close the club face, hit 2 inches behind the ball. The sand covers the ball up, never has a chance to clear that lip and get on the green. Let me show you the correct way of doing this. All you have to do is get all the weight over onto your left side, almost picking this foot up. This enables the club to work up and down in a chopping motion. You ever played billiards where you take a cue ball and you chop it and you make it spin back? This is the sensation that you're trying to have here in the hitting area. Hitting the ball as close as possible and leaving the club in the sand. Now that's a much easier shot than the way you tried it before. Go out and practice it. One of the things that bothers me probably more than anything is when I see an average player walk into a bunker with a 7-iron in his hand. Now there's nothing wrong with having a 7-iron in your hand, but you have to have perfect conditions for a 7-iron. 1, the bunker has to be very smooth and the ball setting on top of it. 2, you have to have a very low lip on the bunker. 3, you have to have a lot of green to work with. Now you're probably sitting in your living room and you're looking at old Lee and saying, hey, that's what I use as a 7-iron, but I don't have any success with it. Problem probably is that you're using too much hand action and you're either hitting the ball fat or you're blading it into the lip. Now the correct way to do this is to actually use not only your putting grip, but also get closer to the ball and use your putting stroke. Now remember, the most important thing in this swing is that your body is perfectly still. And the great thing about it is you don't have to go to a bunker to practice it. You can do it right in your living room. How many times you sit out in the middle of that fairway and you thought you hit a perfect golf shot, and then you come up and find yourself in the middle of the Sahara Desert? Many times. But you are thankful for one thing, it's not buried, and it's not. And it's relatively an easy shot if you take technique. You only have about 10 foot of bunker, 10 foot of green. A lot of people still have a lot of difficulty with this shot, and the reason for it is simply because they get too much weight over on their left side. What happens when you get too much weight over on the left side? The hands are forward too far, which closes the blade of the club. Therefore, you can't get underneath it to hit it short. What you have to do here is add all the weight, or most of the weight, onto your right side. Now, the reason for this is because the hands now will be behind the club head, which will open the club head, which means that you'll be able to slide up under the ball much quicker, going shorter. Watch. Now, you think that was an easy shot? Let me take you back here and show you what a difficult long bunker shot is like. If you're having difficulty with the long bunker shot, chances are that you're using the same technique that you used on the short bunker shot, which means having the weight on the right, your hands in back of the club, opening the blade. Makes no difference how hard you swing. You're still not going to get the ball out of the bunker. You're going to leave it in there. What you have to do here is play the ball back approximately 6 inches into your stance. This enables your hands to move forward, which closes the blade of the club. The sand pushes the ball out. Don't forget, short bunker shot, open face. Long bunker shot, closed face, and move the ball back. I don't care how good you drive the ball, you're going to end up in a fairway bunker. Now, if you're having trouble hitting long irons from here to a green that's 175 to 180 yards, if the bunker has a very low lip on it, there's nothing wrong with using a 6-wood or a 5-wood or even a 4-wood. Now, all you have to do is make sure that you dig your feet in. Make sure that the lower portion of the body doesn't move. Hit it with the upper portion. Now look at this shot. If I could only do that in a golf tournament. Don't forget, There isn't anything wrong with using a 6-wood out of a fairway bunker. The only thing that you have to remember is keep the bottom portion of your body still and hit it with the top part. In the 15 years that I've played the tour, we've always run into this. Started a golf tournament, had a big rainstorm, you delay the golf tournament, you come back out and you find bunkers full of water. What do? Well, after you retrieve your ball out of the water, you try to find a portion of the sand no closer to the hole where you can drop the ball. You drop the ball, and chances are the ball is going to bury a little bit. Now, you probably don't know how to play this shot. What you have to do here is put the ball in the center of your stance. Close the blade slightly. Don't open it. The reason for this is because when you close the blade, the sand will stay on the club face a little longer, which will help you blow the ball out. If you're leaving this ball in the bunker, chances are you're going into this setup with the club face too open. Now, that wasn't that difficult, was it? If you remember the two things, play the ball back into your stance, close the face a little bit. I don't think you'll have any problems playing wet bunkers. I guess it looks like I'm fixing to get on the horse, huh? Well, not really. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to play from this high bunker to this green that slopes away from me. What I have figured out here is trying to keep the bottom portion of my body as still as possible. To do this, I've taken the right foot and I've pointed it to the right of the ball about 10 to 15 degrees. Taken the left foot and I've pointed it to the left of the ball about the same amount of degrees. Taken the knees and I've pushed them towards the toes, almost sitting down like you're riding a horse. This will enable you to keep the bottom portion of the body very, very still. Let the arms and the shoulders do whatever's natural. Oh, look at that shot. If you're having a little trouble with this shot, open up those feet. Get those knees going towards the toes. Keep the bottom portion of the body very still. If it doesn't work, get you a horse. Well, I hope those bunker tips helped you. With a little more practice, you could be dynamite. But let's get on to the very important part of the game, putting. I thought I was too old to learn how to putt. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but I found out that I had the ball too far forward in my stance. By having it too far forward, the putter was actually coming up when it hit the ball. Results, when I decelerated, the ball either went to the right or it went to the left. I found out that by moving the ball back inside my left heel gave me a chance to hit the ball on the way down instead of up. You can even hear the difference in the clicks. Don't forget, move that ball back, make sure that you hit down on it, and who knows, someday you may win a PGA championship yourself. We all have putts that we dislike. There doesn't happen to be one that I dislike, but I want to show you one that you probably have a difficult time with, and that's a putt that's going downhill and breaking from your left to your right. You having trouble missing that putt way to the right, hitting it too hard, chances are you're probably hitting it the same way that you're hitting an uphill putt, by having it in the middle of your stance and your hands actually being right under your chin. Now, to help you make this particular putt, which is one of the most difficult putts there is when you play golf, is that you want to get your hands forward. Move the ball a little bit up off your left heel, but make sure that you move your hands forward. Now, the reason for this is because the toe will cover for you and start the ball out left on the line that you want. And you cover with the toe. Don't forget, there's only two things you have to do on a left to right breaker. Move the ball forward a little bit and make sure that the toe of your putter covers for you. You're going to have a lot of downhill putts. The first thing that you want to do on a downhill putt is when you get in back of it, to line it up, always pick a spot in front of the ball on your intended line. Never take your eyes off that spot. The reason for this is you want to square the putter to the spot that you have picked. Don't look at the hole. make sure that your hands are on the putter very lightly because you're going to go downhill. Now look up at the hole only for distance. The next thing that you want to do before you execute this putt is make sure that the hands and the putter blade work back together in one piece. Don't forward press them. Don't forget, make sure you keep your eyes on that spot, hold the putter very light in your hands, and make sure that your hands and putter blade work back together. I think you're going to make a lot of downhill putts. The right to left breaker. It's probably your favorite putt also, and you know why? Is because 98% of you people out there slice a golf ball. So where are you going to end up? You're going to end up to the right of the hole. Chances are, if this green has any undulation whatsoever, you're going to have a putt that breaks from right to left. Now, some of you people are missing a lot of these putts. Maybe you say, hey, he's talking about that's his favorite putt, and he's saying 98% of us have this putt, but we're not successful with it. There is a way to putt this putt and putt it very well. The technique of it is, if you've been putting, and if you've had the ball positioned up off your left heel, chances are you're coming up short and pulling it left. Let me show you what you do here. First of all, you move the ball way back into your stance. The reason for this is because when you catch the ball, you want the club face to be open so you can get it out on the line that you want. Second, you want to make sure that the left hand has twice as much pressure than the right hand. And the reason for it is so it won't cup on you. It won't break on you. Here. Yeah. Don't forget, only two things you have to do here. Move the ball back 8 inches and hold this hand very tight so it won't break on you. You'll make all of them. You know, when the professionals get into contention and they're coming down those last few holes, the last thing that we're looking for is an uphill putt or a green that's very heavy, very slow. The reason for it is because we got the old apple right here, and we're having a difficult time getting that ball to the hole. We're either pushing it, or we're pulling it, we're coming up short, or we're hitting it too hard, and it's going way back. Now, I'm not saying that you've got the apple, but I'm going to show you 3 things that you have to do on an uphill putt and a very slow green. First of all, you want to make sure that you have the same amount of pressure on both hands. You have to hold this club very, very tight with both hands. 2, make sure that if you take the putter back 10 inches, that you accelerate it the same amount of distance. 3, and most important, is that you keep the putter very low through the hitting area. The 3 things you have to do on a slow green or an uphill putt: hold the putter very tight in both hands. If you take the putter back 10 inches, accelerate it 10 inches. But the most important is to keep it low through the ball. Spit that apple out. Get it to the hole. How many times have I gotten on the green in 2 and left there with a 5? Many times I've 3-putted. I'm sure you've done the same thing. You know why I've done it? I'm going to show you why, and you're probably doing the same thing. One of my big problems is that I get my right hand too far on top. When I do that, my elbow comes out. When I get the hand on top and the elbow out, I go outside the line and I cut across the putt, and it goes off to the right. The next time you go out and you're having trouble with these putts, get that elbow in. Get the right hand underneath. That'll make the putter come back inside and go out. Now, if you're breaking down in the hitting area, chances are that if you get you some popsicle sticks and you put them underneath your glove, now that will lock that wrist in. Practice with the elbow in, not breaking down through the hitting area. Don't forget, get the right hand underneath, get the elbow in, and use a couple of popsicle sticks in the back of your glove. You're going to be dynamite on these greens. There's 2 things that don't last. There's a dog chasing cars and a golfer chipping for pars. And you can be an up-and-down artist yourself. Be tough. Try some of these. Well, there's easy chip shots and there's difficult ones. And we got ourselves a tough one right here. We've got us a downhill lie. We've got a bunker to negotiate with here. We've got a close-cut flag. And we got us a little bass pond over there. Well, it's not that difficult of a shot. If you're dumping this ball in this bunker, chances are that you're braking a little too much when you're going to execute this shot. You're hitting behind it and you're dumping in the bunker. There is an easy way to play this shot, and it's very simple. Open up the club face, play the ball in the middle of your stance, but the most important part is to keep the butt of the club and the forearm in a straight line all the way through the shot.
I broke a little bit on the way back, but I held on through the swing.
And then you walk up on lies like this. This is when I wished I was 6'5". It's not that difficult of a shot. What I do is I take an 8-iron. I open up the blade wide open. The reason is because I don't want the grass to catch on the heel and bring it over. I make sure that I keep the butt of the club and the forearm, again, in one line. I aim a little to the right of target. Get in, ball. Get in. Both shots are played approximately the same way. Don't be afraid of it. You can do it. The toughest chip shot in the game of golf. Well, the ball is rolled through the green up against some high fringe, and I've got about 4 or 5 feet to negotiate with to get to the green. Well, if you've been having bad luck with this shot, chances are you've been using a putter. And what happens with a putter is that you hit down behind the ball, and there's too much grass between your putter and the ball. What we do is we use what we call a bellied wedge. We hit the ball with the front of the wedge. The reason for this is because the flange will actually push that grass down for us and actually hit this ball like a putter. Use your putting stroke. Get in, ball. Get in. Break. Break. Oh, ran out of frijoles. Now, if you've gone through the green and you've only gone a couple of feet, but it stops in a little hole, again, a very difficult chip shot. Don't be afraid to belly that wedge. The ball will hop up, but it'll run up there on the green. Get in, ball. Get in. Don't forget, just because you missed the green, don't use that putter. Belly that wedge. It may save you some strokes. How many clubs have you found on the golf course that someone's left, usually around the 17th green? And it's usually a 7-iron because people are very partial to chipping with 7-irons, regardless of what the chip calls for. Today, I'm going to try and show you how to use various clubs from different distances, using the same swing and letting the loft of the club do the work for you. I have a sand wedge here. I'm about 40 feet away from the green. I've got about 18 foot of green to work with. Using a putting stroke, letting the loft of the club do all the work for you. Now, we'll move up about 5 or 6 feet, and we'll use a 9-iron. Again, using the same swing now, your putting stroke. Let the loft do all the work for you. Then we'll move up about 20 feet away from the green, and we'll go to an 8-iron. Reason we want to go to an 8-iron is because it has less loft. The ball will come out lower and run. Then as you get a little closer, you can go down to the 6-iron. Again, the ball will come out lower and run a little more. One of my favorites is when I get around the green 3 or 4 feet away, I like to use a very low lofted club, a 4-iron. Just using the little putting stroke, it'll clear the fringe and run to the hole. There we go. Same swing with 5 different clubs. Don't be so partial to that 7-iron. When you start saving strokes, tell them where you got it. We've got another little chip shot for you here, and it is a difficult one. Because if you've missed that green and you've missed those bunkers, chances are that you've got an uphill chip over a bunker. Well, some of you have a difficult time with this shot, and the chances are that you're using a sand wedge. Now, you're probably saying, well, I use a sand wedge all the time. What happens is because you have this incline, you're actually adding loft to the club. And chances are that you're coming up short. A good club to use here is an 8-iron. Now, an 8-iron has only 43-degree loft on it. But once you've put it down with that incline, it actually works like a pitching wedge or a sand wedge. And ball hit on the green and start running up by the flag. Don't fall in love with that sand wedge. Experiment with those other clubs in your bag. You can do it. Now, this is a real beauty. That ball didn't go in the bunker and it hung up on that tall grass. Well, after you've taken your stance in that bunker, what you want to do is take a high lofted club, a 9-iron, for instance. Keep it very stiff and very tight through the shot. Don't move your body.
Oops, a little too strong.
Now, if that bunker is too deep and you can't get that right foot in there, you have the ball in the same situation. There's nothing wrong with hitting it backwards. Yeah, I want to show you a real beauty over here. How many times have you done this? Hit too much club, gone over the green. You've got a hump with a lot of grass, and you've got a very close-cut flag. We do it all the time, but it's not that difficult. If you've had trouble with this shot, chances are that you've got the ball positioned too far forward in your stance. Now, what happens here is that by not holding the club tight with your left hand and with the ball being forward, you're catching the grass too early and it's turning the club over. All you have to do is grab that club very firm with the left hand, move the ball back into your stance, and just go ahead and hit it. A lot of times it doesn't pay to shoot at the flag. Percentages are more important. Watch these. I've been trying to help you for a long time, and I've tried to tell you that this game is played from 100 yards in. I don't care whether you shoot 67, 87, or 127. Once you finish, 65% of those strokes are going to be inside of 100 yards. For instance, we have one here of 85 yards. We've got the flag cut real close to that huge bunker, and we've got a little lake here in front. You'd say to yourself, well, I can stretch that sand wedge and get there. But if you didn't get it there and you'd bury it in the lip of that bunker or you'd hit behind it and it'd go in this lake, don't be ashamed to take a pitching wedge. Choke it down just a little bit and hit it 20 to 30 feet by the hole and two-putt coming back. Take the pitching wedge, choke it down just a little bit. Well, it might be a little to the left, but at least it's by the flag. Don't be ashamed to go by that flag, two-putt coming back. I want to show you another one right over here. No, this isn't my last shot, but you're going to find a ball that stops short of a lake like this, and again, you've got about a 65-yard shot just over that bunker. Can't mess with it from here. What you want to do is you want to go 20 feet past the flag. That's it. Don't be ashamed to shoot 20 feet to the left. You're probably standing in your living room saying, he's telling us to shoot away from the flag. I'm not doing that at all. All I'm telling you is to use this and save some strokes. I've really got myself in a lot of trouble here. I've gotten behind this tree. I've got to get over it. I can't go to the right. I can't go to the left. What do? I take a sand wedge and I open it right up. But the secret is to play it like a bunker shot. Don't ground your club. Hit down through it hard. And it'll get right up over that tree. Don't forget, if you get behind a tree like this, open up that blade. Don't ground your club. Use your head when you get around the green. Do you jump about 5 feet every time you hear the word shank? I know I do. I'm going to try to hit one for you right now and see if you can detect what I did wrong. Woo, do I hate that shot. Could you see what I did wrong? If you're having problems with the long irons or the medium irons, with that ball going to the right, you're probably going over the top of it. When you get to the top of the backswing, your hands are actually working out instead of in, not going from inside out. The feeling that you have to have on the first movement of the downswing is to make sure that the right hand actually has a feeling that it's going inside your right hip pocket. Let me show you. Yeah, that's perfect. That's going right at the green. Don't forget, if you're having a little problem with that shot, your hands are working out. Make sure that they stay very close to the right side, like they're going into your hip pocket. Now, if you're saying to old Lee, I'm not having any problem with that long iron or the 5-iron. My problem is around the green with that little pitch shot or the little chip and run shot. Let me demonstrate that one for you. If you're having a little problem with this one, chances are that your hands are too low and too far forward. The right side is actually getting in the way on the way down, not on the way back, because your right thigh and hip will move out of the way when you go back. But the problem now is created when you go here and the club goes out. What you have to do here is back that right foot up just a little bit, not much. Make sure that the hands are up a little bit higher. This will give the right hip a chance to clear without touching your hands. Here. Perfect. Don't forget, those long irons, that hand has to come very close to the right thigh. The short iron, just get them up. Have some fun with it. You won't shank another golf ball. Shanking is one thing, but how many of you are guilty of hitting the ball fat, divot covering the ball up? There is a way to get out of it. Watch. Yeah, you probably just fell off that couch watching that shot. You know, most of you guys that I play with in pro-ams, that is what you do, is hit the ball fat. I know you ladies do it also because you're always asking me about it. You know, the problem is not that you have the club too long. The problem is at the top of the backswing. What happens once you've gotten there is the last 3 fingers in your left hand open up because you want to get that club back a little bit farther, and then they close on you on the way down. And this is what throws the club and makes it too long, and you hit the ball fat. What you want to do is hold on with the last 3 fingers very firm and come down into the hitting area. Let me show you. Don't forget, if you're hitting that ball fat, put a lot of pressure on these last 3 fingers. How do you hit a fairway wood? Do you hit up on it or do you hit down on it? Watch these next few tips. Fairway woods, they can be difficult. If you've been having a little problem with them lately, chances are that you're hitting up on the ball. By hitting up on it, you're catching the ball a third of the way up. What you want to do is you want to hit down on a fairway wood, compress it into the ground. This is what gets the ball up. Now, if you've been missing it, you're guilty of putting it too far forward. And the reason is because you want to see some loft on that club. So you've got it forward, and you swing up on it, and you top the ball. That'd look familiar to you. What you have to do here is you have to play the ball back into your stance. Now, that would look like it doesn't have any loft on it, but that's okay, because when you hit down on it, you will compress it into the ground, and this is what gets the ball up in the air.
If I hit down on that ball, I don't have to look up to see where it went. I can hear the roar of the crowd.
Don't forget, if you're missing that shot, you're hitting up on it. Put it back a little bit, hit down on it. You're going to reach a lot of par 5s from now on. Sooner or later, you're going to find yourself in heavy rough. What do you do with it? We have problems with it. I'm sure you do too. The reason that we have problems with this particular shot is simply because you're probably using an iron out of this heavy rough. What happens is when you get ready to execute the shot, the ball's coming out low left. Now, the reason for this is that the blade is tangling up in the grass and the toe's coming over. You're actually helping this by putting body movement into it. Now, the reason for this is because the iron is very sharp. Hosel is very small. When the grass gets wrapped up in that hosel, the toe goes over. Let me show you my favorite club out of tall grass, the 6-wood. The reason? The front of the club is not as sharp as the iron. The hosel is much bigger, therefore the grass will not wrap around it and make the toe come over. The only difference that you do executing a 6-wood out of heavy rough as opposed to a long iron is that I hit the ball with upper body. I try to keep my lower body as stationary as possible. Look at that shot. How many tournaments could I have won if I'd have known that tip 10 years ago? Don't forget, if that ball's going out of there low left, get you a 6-wood. How many times have you found yourself in this situation? You've driven the ball straight down the middle of the fairway, and there you are in a divot. Well, it's not that difficult to get out of this situation. All you have to do is play that ball back. Hood that club just a little bit. Now, use the club that it takes for that distance, but remember, if you use a 7, you're actually making it a 6-iron. Hit down and through this ball, not up.
Keep that weight on the left side, hit down, and it does help to be strong.
You have to use a lot of the green because the ball's going to come out of there low. Don't forget, play the ball back, hood that club, hit down and through it. I've got a beauty I want to show you over here. And then you're going to have lies like this. Hard pan. Well, you have to play it approximately the same way that you did the other one. Play it back into your stance and hood the club just a little bit.
Now, you do have to remember that this is a piece of cake for old Lee, because this is exactly what I learned to play on.
Gonna come out of there a little low. Don't forget, if you're not playing golf courses with a lot of grass, you're gonna have a lot of hard pan. Play it back, hit down on it, and have some fun with it. Are you having trouble making the ball bite? Stop it on those hard green surfaces? How about playing into a stiff wind? Well, maybe old Lee can help you. Bite, ball. Bite, bite. Suck up. Have a wreck. Stop! You heard that war cry before? You're hitting those greens, they're a little on the firm side, and the ball is running in the fringe or trickling into the bunker, or you've got all these long putts for birdies. Well, what you may need here is a little bit more backspin. Let me show you how to trap the ball and put some spin on it. If you're not getting the action that you want on those firm greens, chances are that you're playing the ball a little too far forward into your stance, hitting up on the ball, and you're not utilizing the grooves on that wedge. To trap the ball and put backspin on it, you must put the ball back into the center of your stance. Put about 80% or 75% of your weight over on to the left side. The reason for this is this will give you a shorter backswing, more of an upright swing, and more abrupt, up and down. When you take the club back to your backswing, shift very little of your weight to the inside of your right foot. On the way down, keep the weight over on the left side. You will trap the ball will rise and stop immediately. Let me show you in slow motion. Weight on the left. Oh, I made it. I made it. I made it. Don't forget, if you're not getting the right spin on the ball, chances are you have it too far forward. Put it back. Put 75 to 80% of your weight over on the left side. Trap it. And when you see it hit that green, it'll do this for you. For years, I've been wanting to give you a tip on how to play in a strong wind, but the wind has never agreed with my schedule. So I went to Hollywood, got my own fan, and made my own wind. I told you I was going to give you some wind. Hopefully, it'll never blow this hard on your golf course. But if it does, here's what you can do. Make sure you get a little bit closer to the ball. Play the ball back in your stance just a little bit more. This will enable your hands to go a little higher and forward. Make sure that the left wrist stays very firm through the hitting area. Let me show you in slow motion. There's a nice low one. Don't forget, if you get caught in this hard wind, get a little closer to the ball, play it back into your stance, but most important, keep that left wrist very, very firm. Man, this thing is really blowing. I'm gonna let you play the next shot. Are you playing hilly golf courses? Always have uphill lies, downhill lies, or side hill lies? Here's a solution for you. Today's architects are building these golf courses with all these rolling hills. And eventually you're going to find yourself with the ball below your feet. What do? Well, if you've been having a little trouble with this shot, chances are that you've got a little too much weight forward. Your heels are up off the ground and you're falling forward when you hit the ball. What you have to do is play the ball back into your stance and sit down on it. Get down low. When you do that, all the weight gets on your heels. Keep that right foot down all the way through the shot. See how that right foot stayed down? Now let me show you what you have to do when the ball is above your feet. If you find that ball up above your feet and you're coming up second best on this shot, maybe I can help you. First of all, you want to put the ball back in the middle of your stance. Make sure that the weight doesn't get back on your heels. Keep that weight up on your toes. As a matter of fact, keep that right heel up off the ground all the way through the shot. This will keep you up over the ball. Don't forget, if the ball's below your stance, keep the weight on your heels. If it's above your stance, keep the weight on your toes. Doesn't make any difference how these architects build these courses. You can handle any of them. Well, we've covered a lot of problem areas, but there's one area that we've not covered, and that's the full swing, hooking and slicing. Watch these. You know what's funny is all the pros are trying to fade the ball, and all the amateurs are trying to hook it. Well, almost all the amateurs, because some of you can hook the ball. But if you can, I'm going to show you what you have to do. Now, you know what you have to do when you draw the ball. You've got to pull that right foot back just a little bit, and you've got to turn the hands over so the club will close and you can hit it from right to left. But it's not happening to you, and probably the reason why it's not happening to you is you're taking the club back and actually you're moving in front of it. You're getting in front of the ball and the hands never having a chance to get to the ball and to roll over. What you have to do here is stay on the right side just a little bit longer. When you keep this right foot down longer, it makes the right knee stay in back of the left one, and it makes the right elbow stay underneath the left one. Results? It gives you a little more time to close the club. Let me show you.
You might try taking the backswing a little bit slower. It'll give you time to stay on the right side just a little longer.
And they said I couldn't hook a golf ball. I'm not saying I'm going to lower your handicap, but you are going to be able to shoot at those flags on the left of that green from now on. I've played in pro-ams all over the world, and the most common question that's asked to me is, Lee, why do I slice that golf ball? Well, I think I can help you. It's really not that difficult to get out of a slice. I think the biggest mistake that you make is actually in the left knee. What happens when you get down into the hitting area is that you're locking your left knee. What happens here is the right shoulder goes over and you cut across the ball. What you have to do here is to make sure that in the hitting area that actually the left knee breaks towards the target, keeping the right knee in back of the left. This results in laying off the club and getting underneath it. Let me show you.
You can do this in your living room. Make sure that you watch those knees and that they're flexed through the hitting area. Muscle memory is what it's all about.
I think if you can keep that right knee in back of the left one, you're going to see the left side of the golf course for the first time in your life. I was hitting some practice balls the other day on the driving range, and a gentleman walked up to me and he said, Lee, I've been slicing this ball all my life, and I can't get out of it. So I brought him over and I said, let me look at your swing. And the first thing I saw is that when he set up and he got ready to hit the ball, his left arm was so fast through the hitting area that the club head never had a chance to catch up. Here. So he was hitting the ball with an open face. I teed up another ball and I said to him, look, as you're coming down into the hitting area, I said, right before you get into hitting that ball, slow the left shoulder and the left arm down and speed up the right arm. This will give the club head a chance to catch up. As you're coming down into the hitting area, slow it down and hit it with the right hand. And he started hitting the prettiest little draw you've ever seen out there in your life. So if you've got that real bad slice and you can't get out of it, chances are that your left arm is way too fast through the hitting area and the club head is lagging. Slow it down into the hitting area. Let the right arm speed up, the club head will catch up, and you'll see that ball going out there from right to left. And if you like what you see, tell all your friends where you got it. Well, I've given you tips on just about everything. Bunker shots, shanking the ball, hitting out of fairways, just about everything. Except I haven't given you the most important one, the foundation of the golf swing, which is the backswing. How do you get that club away from the ball? Well, a lot of you have a little bad habits, and I'm just going to show you 3 of them real quick. One of the bad habits that you have is that you break too soon away from the ball. The other one is that you pick the club up and you take it too far outside. The third one is you break the right elbow and pull the club back way inside. Well, what you have to do here in the correct backswing is actually it works from the left shoulder to the club head. It works away from the ball all in one motion. Now, if you want to take the club back inside, you have to close your hips because the club will only follow the alignment of the hips, so it'll come inside. If you want to go straight down the line, you square up your stance and you go straight back. If you want to go a little outside the line on the way back, you open up your stance and you go a little outside. Let me show you the correct backswing. Now there's a perfect backswing. Don't forget, for a good foundation, keep that left shoulder and that club head together on the way back. And here's a special treat for your senior players, ladies, and juniors. My friends, the seniors, always ask me, Lee, I've lost some distance. How do I get it back? Believe me, I'm concerned because these are the guys that buy the tickets to all the golf tournaments. Well, we got together with a few of them the other day, and we'll show you exactly how to do it.
I'm getting older, Lee, and I've been losing distance. Can you help me?
George, I hope so, but you know, that's one of the biggest problems that senior players have. They're used to swinging 90 miles an hour. They've gotten a little older now. Now they're only going 60 to 65 miles an hour. Well, the first thing you do, George, when you go out there is don't worry about practicing all that much. Take a club, put it behind your back, and swing it 3 or 4 times. Really try to get that back limbered up. You know, some of us have arthritis. After you do that and you go out and play, chances are you're losing the distance because you're standing too straight up over the ball, knees locked, you're bending over. When you're going down to hit the ball, your hands are working away from the body. What you want to do is almost set down on the ball. Now when you come up into it, the hands come very close to the right thigh, and this will give you a lot more power. Let me show you. Come here and hit one for me. Just break the knees just a little bit. That's it. And then come out of it when you hit it. Oh, now that, how about that one, see?
Holy mackerel.
Don't forget, if you're losing a little distance, chances are you're standing too straight up and down. Get down a little bit, hit up. But don't worry about that. The cows are gone. No sense in closing the gate. Just have some fun with it. You ladies are always asking me, how do you put backspin on the ball and get it up in the air? Well, we couldn't do without you, ladies. I got together with a few friends of mine the other day, and now we'll show you. That I couldn't believe, and that's one of the reasons that I won the PGA, you know.
Lee, I have a problem. How do you get that ball up in the air?
Oh, Natalie, that's probably one of the most common mistakes that ladies make. They have a lot of trouble getting the ball up in the air, and why? Well, there's only one reason, is that they're not hitting down on the ball. They're hitting up, and they're hitting it in the belly, and the ball's going straight out. To get the ball up in the air, you have to compress the ball into the ground, whether it's a wood or an iron. That's what creates the backspin, makes the ball climb up in the air. Try one for me, Nanny. Put the ball back in your stance a little bit. That's it. Play it back a little bit more. That's it. Yes, yes. Very good. Yes, it's square. Hit down and through it now. Got to compress it in the ground. Beautiful. Yeah, you see, that's what I was telling you about. If you're having trouble getting that ball up in the air, chances are you're coming out of it a little too soon, ladies. Stay down on it. Utilize those grooves, and that ball will get up in the air, and your handicap will go just like this. With the thousands of youngsters getting involved, the future of this great game lies in our junior golf programs. I try to get involved as much as possible. Watch. Oh, Craig, that was a beauty there. But you know, I did notice a little something, and I'm going to see if I can help you out with it a little bit. You know, I noticed that you've got a cross-handed grip. You think you could put that hand below the left one there? You don't think so? You don't think you can? Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you try one and see?
I knew he'd change right back. Go ahead.
Well, you can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink. Well, a grip is not that important anyway. The important thing here is that they have the right length club and the right weight. Jason. All right, my man. That's a good one there. Now, I did notice a little something there. Looks like you've got the ball a little too far forward. Play it back a little bit into your stance. That's it. Beauty. That's the way to go. You know, a common mistake that juniors make is they tend to play the ball too far forward. Get them to play it back inside their left heel just a little bit, and they'll get the ball up in the air. Oh, that was a beauty, Maggie. Let me see another one here. I want you to move your hands a little forward this time when you hit this one. Oh, yes. That's it. You know, we're all guilty of putting too much pressure on our kids when it comes to playing golf. Take them out there and tell them to forget about score. Give them some golf balls, let them hit them, let them chase them, let them have some fun. And you know what would really be great? Is if you joined them and made it a family affair. Well, that's about it for me. I had a lot of fun making these golf tips. Hope you enjoyed them. But most important, that you put them to use to help improve your golf game. You have to remember, the bottom line is to have fun. Leave the serious playing to the guys and gals on tour. If you like this cassette, wait till you see the next one. It'll even be better. Hope to see you down the road. Make a lot of birdies.